Good evening. Welcome to the regular meeting of the Richland School Board of Directors. It is 5 o'clock. We are going to recess into executive session until 6:30. Thank you. Welcome back to the regular meeting of the Richland School Board of Directors. We will get started with our regular meeting and our call to order. So we will start with the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, indivisible, with liberty for all.
All right, we have three of us here tonight in person. Jill is online. Is she on there yet? Not yet. Okay. Well, maybe we'll text her and make sure
Yeah.
she's logging in. And Rick Jansen's is excused. Oh, got her. Okay, great.
She's here now.
Awesome. So we will start tonight with our recognition. We have our new student representative starting tonight, right before school starts. So Chloe Lee is our new junior rep on the school board, student rep for the school board. So welcome, Chloe.
Welcome, Chloe.
Mhm.
Is it okay if I tell Jill that her face is really big on the screen? Jill, just know we can really see your face tonight.
And it's frozen.
Yep.
I just want you to know. Oh my.
Might want to turn off your camera, Jill,
Yeah.
and like restart it. Looks like it's frozen.
There we go.
Okay. All right, we will move on to our public comment period. Do we have anybody signed up in the back for public comments?
I have no one that I have been given information about speaking.
Nobody in the back? Okay, then we will move on. And we will move on to our board student rep and superintendent report, and we'll start with Dr. Redinger.
So, hello, everybody. And I can't believe it's already time for school to start. September 1st, first day of school, right around the corner. Everybody's getting ready. We've been doing a lot of trainings. We're very excited about the number of trainings that have taken place for our new parents and our new teachers. We got to be with all of them for a full day, and they're all excited. And I told them they must be special because you need to be special to work in the Richland School District. So I congratulated them all, and I'm glad we have some new people on our team. Also, our big kickoff for the whole staff will be on the 27th. And so I'll make sure all of you have that date and time. It is in the morning, so I know some of you work, so it might be difficult, but hopefully you'll be able to stop in. We have a person, her name is Dr. Shelley Moore, and the topic is going to be on inclusion and universal design for learning. And so we're very, very excited about that. Kickoff, I believe, is at 8. We'll have donuts and coffee and a benefits fair to start it off in. It's all will be at Richland High School. So we're really excited about it. Jen's done and her team has done an amazing job organizing it and getting it all ready. And so if your guys are available, it'll be wonderful to have you there to hear Dr. Shelley Moore. And besides that, we're just busy. The whole team's been working hard, and we're just ready for a great school year. What I've got.
Great, thank you. Student reps, you guys have anything to kick us off?
Yeah, I mean, it's just the start of the school year, so there's not too much. But last Friday, Hanford had their Falcon Prep Day where a bunch of freshmen and every student can come and like get tours of the school and get their schedules. And they also had like, I think over 20 clubs having like tables and booths for people to look at what they're interested in. And then also coming up is Senior Sunrise, which at Hanford is the day before school on the 31st, and Richland is the day of school on the 1st, which is always fun. And then Pictures this year didn't take place before school at Hanford, so it's going to be on the 9th and for Hanford, and then on the 3rd for Richland.
So for Hanford and Richland, the first day of school is September 1st, and kindergartners go to school on September 3rd. And at Hanford, I know that Richland also has Link Crew, but at Hanford it's called Flight Crew. And this is basically where upperclassmen show freshmen around the school and guide them like a mentor. So I'm part of Flight Crew as well, and we're just working to plan everything and make sure that freshman only day, which is on the 31st, goes well for the freshmen.
Bonnie?
I have a new grandson. That's it.
Right.
That's my report.
Dan?
I can't top that. Just been doing dad stuff. Went to the Falcon Prep Day with my freshman. Got to see our esteemed senior student rep there manning one of the club booths. Or were you manning two?
Yeah.
Yeah, two of them, right? But yeah, school's getting started, excitement in the air.
Great. Jill?
Sorry, I'm unmuting. I don't have anything really to say other than I wish I was with you guys, but yeah, I got kicked out of the I got kicked off the island tonight, so I'll just island it here. I'm excited about starting the year and getting everything rolling with the search and with all the good numbers that we have with enrollment and hitting the ground running. So that's all I have. And welcome, Chloe.
Thank you, Jill.
Tonight, good to see you again.
Too.
We need to get together and figure out when we want to meet. Let me know your schedules, okay?
Okay.
Okay.
Perfect.
Yeah, I'm excited for the start of the new year. Excited to hear how our enrollment turns out coming into the year. And also excited for our superintendent search. So just a quick update on that. We have executed the contract with the search firm that was selected, and we will be working with them to schedule a work session in September to go through the job description, some of the qualities, and different things that we would want to set for getting that position actually posted. And then we'll also work with them to come up with a schedule for what the activities will be, for some surveys and community engagement as well to get feedback in that process. So more to come, but we'll get some of that scheduled in September. As we said before, I think this is one of the most important things that the board will do this year. So we'll be working on that. All right, and then I will move us on to our first business item, which is the budget resolution. Travis.
Okay, so last time we met, I did the budget workshop and the budget hearing. Since then, I've gotten no responses from the public. And so I would make the recommendation that the board pass the resolution for adopting the 26-27 fiscal budget.
Are there any follow-up comments or questions for Travis before we would do that?
We
Questions?
just need to make a motion? Because I don't,
Jill, do you have any additional questions or comments?
I'm just going to leave it unmute. No, I don't. But before we go through the vote, after we do the motion, Jill asked for discussion, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, then I will make a motion to approve the resolution.
I'll second that.
Okay. And further discussion?
Yeah, the only thing that I want to mention is that even for like Dan, one of the newer board members, I think it's important for people to realize that this is just the overall budget that we're authorizing the district to put forth. It doesn't necessarily mean that conversation will stop in regards to where that money goes, how that money gets spent, what programs are in place. Those are conversations that will go on throughout the year. I just want to, say, Travis, thanks for putting that together and continuing to have open dialogue with us as board members on the effectiveness to students where we're putting that money.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I think I, for one, have a lot of confidence in our financial framework that you've built. So while the budget seems like a lot of money to spend, to your point, we're not necessarily going to spend it all. It gives us the room to spend it if we need to. And if we think it's fiscally responsible to do so. So from that perspective, I support that too. So any other further discussion? Nope. All right. And then we will vote. I'll start with Chloe.
Yes.
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 Jill?
Yes.
Awesome. So pass. Thanks, Travis. And then we can move on to our fiscal update.
Okay, so for the fiscal update, I don't have a whole lot of information to present. The fiscal update is for month ending July. We just finished, got an apportionment today for August, and everything is looking really, really good. I provided the budget information and essentially the board doc information now onto our website in that interactive format. You can go and dive into enrollment and you can dive into the finances, and I'm open to any questions. We're at the end of July, we were projecting to be about 18 days, and after some apportionment, very, very, very preliminary numbers, we're looking at being up at 19 days of operation. Actually having a 5% fund balance at the end of this year is what I'm looking at. So things are trending really well. Still have a ways to go. One of the things that I would like us to achieve is at a minimum having 30 days, even in our lowest month. And right now that projection would be in the fiscal year 29-30. That fiscal year, we would achieve that and have 30 days in February specifically. We got a binding, or not a binding, we got a finding this year for being down in March. And really trying to make sure that if we don't receive any revenue, we can operate, and that we'll be able to do that in 29-30. So we still have a ways to go. Puts us overall, roughly that target would be 40 days, I think is where we would find that healthy point of achieve and maintain. Framework gets us there, and everything's looking good. Any questions, comments on the public dashboard or on the financials?
Yeah, I'll just say I love the public dashboard. There may become a day when you stand up here for the fiscal update and just say, "Hey, you guys look at the website?" You know, it's all there,
That's the
right?
goal.
And I just hope that maybe we can take what you have there and make maybe a social media post or something. Let everybody know that it's there. You know, if it's part of that transparency that you've provided for everybody, and just let the community know it's there and have people poke around at it. Appreciate you doing that.
Bonnie, any questions?
No, I think it's great.
Jill?
Nope, I'm good. I love the new
Um,
format too.
Yeah, I think it's great. I guess the only question I have, so just to clarify, fiscal year ends at the end of August, right?
Yes.
So what you're projecting here is ending around 5% in the current now ending fiscal year. So when you say ending the year, you mean next month.
Next
You
month.
don't mean
I mean, next
12
month.
months. Yes.
Correct.
Awesome.
Yes.
That's what I thought. But yeah, so I look forward to seeing where that all rolls out.
Mhm.
It's exciting.
Yep. As soon as we have our county treasurer report, I will be refreshing the public update with new information. So you'll get that. I plan to maybe update that regularly once after we do the budget or the board meeting after we discuss it. And so essentially what I provide in the board packet will be kind of set in stone. I might even refresh it tomorrow morning since we are having the conversation today. So.
Mhm. And let's keep talking as well. I know that you guys had put something in for the WASDA conference to kind of highlight your financial framework. Did that get accepted?
I'm surprised that I have not heard anything, and I don't know if Shelley's heard anything yet.
I'll follow up. I'll follow
Yeah.
up with them. Yep.
Typically something like that. From my experience with WASBO, we get our notification in February, or actually January, and then usually presentations are due for their review in April, and then we present in May. So
And this is for a November conference, so I'll follow up.
correct. So I mean, not.
Okay, you haven't
I don't
heard
know.
anything
I
yet.
haven't
Jill,
heard
do you
anything.
know anything about?
No, but
conference?
I have a phone call with Trisha tomorrow, or I'm supposed to have a phone call with Trisha tomorrow, so I'll follow up with her.
Okay.
Because we should have heard by now because the things are in November, exactly right. So
Yeah.
I'll put that on my note of things to talk to her about.
Yeah, I just brought it up because I think it's going to be really exciting to roll this out at WASDA and to be able to show some of the other districts what you've been able to do. It's really impressive.
Yeah, my
Right.
goal is to get the state back to health, and so I'm helping others as well.
Oh, just small goals, Travis.
I
Right?
know, right?
Thank you.
Uh-huh.
All right, we will move on to our high cap implementation plan.
I let you drive? Oh, yes. Okay. Is that a dangerous question? Having Enid drive for me. All right. Good evening, everyone. Yay, we're so excited for the school year to launch. As Shelley mentioned, there's been lots of moving parts and pieces, and we are excited to get our staff back and all of our kids back in buildings and kick off the new year. So having said that, we are here to update you on our highly capable year one implementation plan. Before we do that, though, I would love to introduce Jeff LeBrant to you. So Jeff is here. Come on up. He is our newly hired math and highly capable coordinator. I am going to turn it over to him and let him fill you in a little bit about himself, where he's been, and anything else you'd like to share. All
Hey,
right. Yeah.
Matt, Jeff, before you start, can Cameron change the view so that it's on him, not the slideshow right now? There, perfect.
I feel like I have one
Awesome.
outfit right now.
No pressure.
This is a different color.
Go ahead. I think they can see you.
Okay.
Yeah, we can see you now.
Oh, lovely. I'm just looking at my screens going, this sounds like different, so it's a different view. Thank you guys very much for giving me the opportunity to be here and work with our T&L team and to be in the role of high cap and math coordinator. I come from 16 years in the classroom as a high school and middle school math teacher and taught everything that involved. One of my favorite classes happened to be our AP statistics class, and working with the students in that class to give them an opportunity to see how the mathematics they were learning was applicable. The last couple of years for me have been as regional math coordinator at ESD 105. And my work through that assignments and that work with the ESD brought me into districts all up and down Kittitas, Yakima, and Klickitat County, and working to do vertical alignments and improve the teaching practices for the staff that I was working with, and supporting the administrators as they were looking for the resources, the indicators that they needed when they were working to see, to improve the instruction for their students that were going through the system. In my work with the high cap role, I'm excited to be able to take on and continue the work that's gone in this year one implementation and the resources, the opportunities that have already been discussed, but also that we'll share with you, but also think about our opportunities for building on that, helping our staff, and ultimately like putting the goals towards what is really the most important part, and that is opportunities for our students. So with that, thank you very much, and I'll turn it back to Jen.
Thanks.
Thank you, Jeff. Does anyone have any questions for Jeff right off the bat? Put him in the hot seat.
Well, as I mentioned, HiCap was always a big platform for me. That's one of the reasons why I'm doing this. And I'm a scientist, so I've been embarrassed by our math numbers for years. So I'm really excited for what you'll be able to do on both sides. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Do you have anything, Jill?
No, just welcome. Sorry, I know you're like looking around like I'm coming out of the walls. I am.
Yeah, I saw Travis do one of these, I think, to that camera. And so
Yeah,
I thought
it's
maybe,
it's all the
I'll
cameras. I just kind of
Right.
come out of the walls when this happens. It's just exciting. It's working again, so that's really good. But welcome to the district, and I'm excited to see what you and the team have in store for us.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, so in your board packets, there is a lot more detail for the implementation plan. Tonight, we're just going to kind of go over and walk through an overview of our co-op work group, some of the work that we've done from the spring. And then last week, we had another meeting, our PD plan for this year, and then outcomes by the end of the year, and what we will see by the end of our year, end of this year, if everything is implemented the way we expect, in monitoring and progress monitoring throughout the year. We're going to share those outcomes with you as far as what staff will see, what students will see, and then what families and community can expect by the end of the year as well. So,
Hey, Jen, are you doing the slide presentation now?
yes.
Okay, Cameron, can you put the slide presentation back on?
Oh, thank you. We good?
Can you see it now, Jill?
I can, but you need to move past the Jeff part.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
You're
yes,
right.
I just hadn't yet.
She
Okay.
just has an advanced slides.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, it's there.
So, okay, year one implementation, super excited. And I wish I had confetti, right, to throw for Jeff. We're very excited. Confetti, yes, throw for Jeff. So our RSD High Cap Cooperative Work Group, we're super excited to have this team come together now, have 2 times. So really to guide that implementation and provide support as we're looking at our year one implementation commitments. The cooperative work group shares that commitment and really comes together to provide insight, expertise, and guiding support in the implementation of our plans. So we did launch in May 2026. We just had our second meeting last week, and this is a picture of our group. Yay! So an example of our work, part of our year one implementation is really to kick off and lead with vision, mission, goals, and outcomes. And so back in May, we presented just a draft of vision, mission, goals, and outcomes and went through a process to provide feedback around what was seated here. And so this is what we collected. So vision, mission, goals, and outcomes. And you can kind of see on the chart paper where folks were encouraged to write down any changes or adjustments that they might add. And what came from that was not only adjustments and things to consider, but also questions. And so we went through the process to look through and delineate what were adjustments to the vision, mission, goals, and outcomes and make those adjustments. But then also in our follow-up meeting last week, kind of answer some of those questions that they had. So an example here, or our vision that was adjusted and has gone through our group. So I'll just read the first line for you. All students in Richland School District have opportunities to discover and develop their unique interests, strengths, and talents across academic and non-academic areas. It goes on, but I want to share with you some of the feedback that was incorporated into what you see now. Our stakeholders really wanted us to include something about our community. This is a community effort, that it is we are all responsible for the vision of this work. And so we incorporated that. Also to include that non-academic talents. And so we heard a good amount of feedback around how about the arts? How about leadership? And so as we think about an implementation over the next several years, these are things that we can shoot for and aim for and also consider how can we incorporate those as well. And then also calling out that this vision is inclusive for students that need more than what is provided just in general education alone, right? And so really that this is extending beyond just our highly capable students, but that are identified, but our students that are demonstrating some additional need as well. So, yay. Okay. Anything to add? Good. Okay. So same process for mission. We collected the feedback. So we are committed to recognizing and developing advanced potential by ensuring every student has meaningful opportunities to access enhanced learning. And that component, enhanced learning, was part of the feedback that received as well and incorporated into this adjusted mission. It was also quite wordy, if you can imagine, creating a mission might be. And so took the opportunity to become really clear and concise, incorporate that enhanced language to match the WAC language that is provided for us, and include across district schools and programs. And so we are not only talking about, our program, but we're really working in our school-based services as well. And so wanted to call that out as part of our mission.
Yes.
And then for our goals, I won't read all of the words here, but our goals: equitable access and talent development, coherent and consistent continuum of services, rigorous learning and instructional excellence, and whole child growth and shared partnership. And the incorporated feedback was to include continued identification beyond that second grade. And so really where we're looking at that talent development, the continuum of services. In our practices, we are universally screening. We are accepting referrals beyond the universal screening years, but we also have a flexible approach to how we're serving students. And so in that continuum of services, that's where we find that. And also including that shared commitment, again, back to it is all of our responsibility, our teachers, our staff, our families, our community, that we all play a part in this improvement and in implementation and providing opportunities for our students.
And if I may add to, a big component of that is students as well. We want to get their voice in all of the things that we're doing. So we're not doing it to them. We are coming alongside and asking for feedback. And so we're doing this with the students and what their needs are.
Yes. And then also the consistency across schools. And that has been a goal and a focus. And so really ensuring that we have that codified here in our district goals for this program or for the services was really important. And then for our outcomes, when we do vision, mission, goals, and all of the things within our implementation plan that we have planned. Oh, I was, okay. Then these will be our outcomes. Students access the learning that they need. Students grow, engage, and develop their potential. Students experience consistent, high-quality advanced learning. And educators, families, and communities share responsibility for that student success. And the shift from the feedback really around the outcomes was just to ensure, to Jen's point, that the students are focused and part of this process, the most important part of this process. We are talking a lot about organizing the adults to provide services, to provide instruction, but it is to the benefit of the student. And so really wanting to ensure that we are calling that out specifically. So how do we do that? I'll tell ya. Okay, so year one implementation. So I'm starting with clarity and communication first. And so really the scope of the work for the HiCap Cooperative Work Group is to develop that family education plan. What does it look like to support our families in what they're doing at home and how they can interact and work with the schools? So creating the plan for educating all families about the processes within the school district, but also for the services that we offer. The HiCap Cooperative Work Group will review, adjust, and update the HiCap Family Guide, the HiCap Teacher Guide, and the RSD HiCap Services website. And that actually is homework from this last session that we had with the Cooperative Work Group, was for our folks that are serving in that capacity to go take a look at what is available currently and what are some adjustments that might need to be made based on the information that we already have available. And then the measurable outcomes, by June 2027, we will have these components completed. So we will have completed the update family guide. We will have completed the HiCap teacher guide, and we will have completed the family and community education plan. Feedback for the family education plan: how can we reach our families? What is the frequency of communication? What are the different communication tools that we can utilize? So that is the work of the HiCap Cooperative Work Group. I'm going to pause here. Thoughts, questions, anything to add?
Okay. I love that this sounds like it's really applicable to every student. And not just the kids who are smart in math, or not just the kids who are smart in language arts. And I'm wondering how do you get to find, how do you find kids, because there's first of all, I know how hard teachers work. And so it seems to me like I'm looking at this, well, I skipped ahead a little, oh yeah, this. And I'm looking like, okay, now a teacher has to have 5 different categories of things that they're working with. And how can one teacher do all that? So I get a little worried for teacher selves. But also I think it's really awesome that a kid who maybe is terrible at math but is great in leadership can get opportunities for enhanced learning in that area that can help them later grow into a better math student, you know?
Sure.
So I think that's just amazing goals.
Yes.
That makes me just like so happy. But so yeah,
Yes.
how
Yeah.
are you gonna do that? I feel like we need like 3 teachers in every classroom.
Travis.
yeah.
No, I'm just kidding.
Probably feel like this.
Right.
Travis,
No,
make that work.
Yeah, yeah.
98%.
Yeah.
98% of revenue.
Yeah.
So
To that point, go
yeah,
ahead.
so to your point, Bonnie, that's where organizing the adults is super important. And so part of our year 1 implementation in MTSS structures and strategies, really leveraging the practices that are existing and have been in existence that all of our teachers are familiar with. And we can lean on and build on that expertise and experience. And so, for example, we're talking about flexible grouping as in a continuum of services being kind of that tier 1, that baseline approach to providing services and differentiation. And that can look a lot of different ways, primarily grouping students within the classroom. And so we have smaller groups kind of working independently. The teacher is connecting with all groups at the level that they need. We also have existing structures in RSD that we can build capacity around and build on, where grade level teams are sharing students across the grade level. And so that has historically been called a variety of different things,
Like
walk to read, walk to math. However, the key component to that is that we are also layering over our professional learning communities where teachers are coming together and they're looking at relevant in the moment, in the week, in the lesson, student data that shows for that particular time that students are ready to learn beyond that grade level material, or students need more support. And so utilizing that PLC structure that is in alignment with what our district goals are also doing in the MTSS structure, providing supports and enrichment enhancement depending on what students need. All of that layered over it's together allows us to reach the most students and leverage the most experience and the most expertise that our teachers already have. You're absolutely right. Like there's a lot that is happening and our teachers are incredible. CKLA, like we're going into year 3. They're knowledgeable in CKLA. We're in year something for investigations, a lot. And so our teachers have a real rich understanding of their core curriculum that we can use to then provide some of those advanced learning opportunities. And so that's kind of that layer 1. The second part to that is where the students are, right? Okay, we're gonna pause. So some measurable outcomes for this. By spring 2027, we will see evidence of flexible grouping through PLC conversations, right? And again, that is an existing structure that we're also improving within our district goals. So our measures of progress, you'll see that they're italicized. Those come from what you will hear from Dr. Jones and later, so that we're not doing a bunch of extra things. We're making sure that it's in alignment with practices that we're doing. But then we'll also see increase of high cap student growth by 2% in both iReady reading and math. One of the things that we found in the program review is that our highly capable students that are identified as highly capable might not be meeting that typical growth percentage as much as we would want them to. And so when we are applying the structure and then the strategies that are coming up, we'll see that growth. Okay. So, oh yes.
Just really quick.
Yes.
So along with this, in here, we're not just using our benchmark screeners or benchmark diagnostic assessments. Thank you. That was hard to get out. in our PLCs, we're really trying to lean into common formative assessments. And they have common assessments, but it's not informing instruction if we're not bringing it together and all the teachers within a PLC are examining their student data together, because that's how we get to that flexible grouping. And further, you'll see in some of our professional development opportunities coming up, we're looking at bringing in grade level reps to get some more professional learning, professional development around these highly capable strategies. So we'll bring that. So then one person will go back in every building at every grade level and be that instructional practice expert around highly capable and perhaps lead that flexible group of students that need extension for that particular standard. So
Okay, I
wanted
have
to
another
make sure.
question.
Yeah.
Kind of related, but kind of not, because that's how I do things. So screeners, right? So a lot of the stuff makes sense to me in elementary school, how it works, but moving from elementary to middle school, when you kind of get put in a box, are we going to change any boxes, or like how about kids who like don't, who in elementary school when they're doing the test in 5th grade to go to high cap stuff in middle school, maybe they don't test really well, but they, you know, but the teacher knows that they can do the stuff. Like how do you know what I'm saying? How do you assess all that? And like, what about kids? Like, are there highly capable opportunities in middle school then for kids who have talents that don't show up on iReady?
Absolutely. So the non-academic talents. Yeah. And so we do, I think our middle schools do a wonderful job of recognizing those non-academic opportunities for students. For example, we have band classes, we have choir classes, we have the arts. We have some students that love PE and are super active. They can take it for a year. So we try to provide those additional opportunities for students in those non-academic ways, hooking them up with clubs. Our middle schools are wonderful with
clubs.
The amount and variety of clubs that we have across the 4 middle schools. Academically, that is something that we are working towards, because historically, you're right, we have the cut scores or percentiles, and so then they're placed into an advanced course based on that. And so that is something that I think is a work in progress and something that we will be addressing over the course of this year. This is highly focused on K-5 with you know, kind of the work group and some of the implementation plan, but we really are going to be moving that into middle school as well. And we're bringing the middle school highly capable or advanced teachers back to us. We did some of that work last year. We're bringing them back this year and talking about that.
Okay. And so sorry,
That's all right.
this is going to be the end of my stuff, I promise.
No,
actually, I can't promise that. But also, like with that, I think it would be really awesome then for kids who maybe feel like in elementary school, they're made to feel like, oh, I have this talent in art or leadership or whatever. And then I go to middle school and I'm just plumped in this regular math class. But there are opportunities for choir club, like to kind of like guide them in that way. Like you have such a great talent in this.
Yes.
We would love it if you would sign up for this, you know, because they have to choose those things.
Yes.
And maybe just kind of on their conferences or something to kind of make those recommendations. So it's not like you were special in elementary school and now you're in middle school and you're just regular. I mean, you know, every kid is special, but you know what I'm saying?
I do.
Like suddenly you feel like now I'm just in. Yeah. Yes. Guidance. There you go. Thanks.
Absolutely.
Okay. Go ahead, Dan.
Well, I was just going to ask. I had written down a few discussion points when I went through the presentation before, and most of it is around the flexible groupings and such. And I didn't want to know if you wanted to just stop now and have a discussion, or do you want to just wait to let you go through everything else and then we can come back?
No, Dan, go ahead.
Okay. So if you go back, my favorite slide in the whole presentation was number 10 there. You kind of jumped to it when Bonnie asked her question there. And the first part of that we have the tier 1, that whole picture there, it indicates when you look at that this is a high cap implementation plan, but it affects, as Bonnie said, it affects all the students, especially when you're like K through 5. So couple of questions on the flexible groupings then. Somewhere on this slide here, it talks about within the classroom and then across the grade level. So both of those we're going to be looking at this year. So that's implemented both.
And
this
they
year.
are, there are pockets of this happening. And I think you and I had a conversation about seeing some pockets of incredible student growth across grade bands in specific schools. And I did go and investigate those grade bands. And what I discovered unequivocally when I had the conversations with these groups is strong PLCs
Awesome.
focused on common formative assessments for students.
So then on the groupings, the groupings when we create them, and I remember seeing somewhere when I went through this about data was going to be used for groupings, but it was also talking about the teacher observations would be part of that data. It's not just going to be test scores.
Correct.
And I think that's really important
Correct.
because I know just from the cross section of my kids, I had kids at home who tested very well, and I had other kids who were gifted, didn't test as well. But so that teacher observation part, I think, is very important. Do you know when we look at that, how is that weighted? I mean, do we know how much we're going to put into the teacher observation? How much is it going to be the data oriented? And then when we look at the picture up here where we have the tier 2 and tier 3 on either side, when we make these groups, are we trying to engineer different sizes of groups, right? Because you may want for your tier 3 have it smaller, and your tier 2 part of that maybe a little bit larger. Are we trying to try to force those kind of groupings to be certain sizes, or?
No, I think that has to be organic based on the assessments and what the teachers are utilizing to make those instructional moves and decisions within their PLCs. I don't think we can force it. Otherwise, it truly does not meet the definition or intent of flexible grouping. We may have in a certain standard in grade 3 that we have a whole lot of kids not meeting standard. And so that means that we're going to have larger, or maybe 2 sections of intervention for that particular standard, and maybe 1 section of intervention or blended with on grade level and extension. To that point, I don't know, back to your question about like how much weight, is given for, teacher observation. I'm not sure I can answer that at this time. But what I can say is that all of this aligns beautifully, like with the MTSS goals that we're working on, with the PLCs, all of it, because we want teachers to be talent scouts. We want them to see the greatness in students, and it's not necessarily just in math, not just in language arts, but maybe they're super excited about science, right? And so what are those opportunities to leverage that skill or that excitement around science and leverage that? So we want to provide a variety of opportunities, not just like pigeonhole in certain subjects.
Right. So if we look at if we go on, think specifically about doing like the across grade level groupings, and we end up with a larger group that's in that, say, that tier 3 part of it, especially on the where you need actually more support.
Yes.
And I know that's getting more out of the high cap part of it, but it's still part of this plan. Is that something where you say, okay, now we need to bring in some more help for that group because it's a larger group? I mean, how do we end up doing that?
Yeah.
What's that look like?
Yeah, you bet. That's a great question because we do not have a whole lot of additional supports. However, we're having conversations with elementary principals right now and how to utilize their specialists that maybe don't have that full 25 sections. So how do we utilize art, music, PE, library staff to help support with either intervention or extension? And so we're having those conversations right now with elementary principals to help with those groups, with those small groups. And so then that expands the opportunity for students to have smaller group instruction, whether it is extension or the intervention need.
Thank you.
I'm just a really big fan of the small leveled group rotation within the classrooms, because when I was in high cap, they didn't really do that mostly, but then in 4th grade, they did it for math. And I thought it was just really helpful because I think there might even be a bigger difference in skill level within high cap than there is between high cap and the regular classes, because there's some people that are just like way more advanced than the threshold to be into high cap. So like they had some groups even doing calculus and some doing algebra while others was still doing fractions. And I think that kind of approach works really well. And I don't know if it would work as well with like sharing it across the grade levels, maybe like within Quest. Especially because like, you know, fourth graders are learning Washington State history, fifth graders are learning US history. But I think maybe for math that could be good. And also just like the kids that are in high cap tend to be, you know, really like book smart, but I think like sometimes they lack some of the skills like social skills and leadership and public speaking skills. I think emphasizing that in Quest could be really helpful and important.
Yeah, and I know that the teachers in Quest are really leaning into universal design, right? And project-based learning and some of those opportunities, which are all inclusive practices. And so we're really excited about all of it because it all works together. It's not, universal design is not just for intervention, it's also for extension. So what are those, you know, projects and UDL opportunities? Because we don't want kids to respond the same. We want to give kids an opportunity to respond or demonstrate their learning in a variety of ways. And so maybe that's how teachers get at really being a talent scout and finding how a student responds to a certain question. Maybe it is in a very artistic way, even though it's in math class, they create something. And so really kind of leveraging those skills, if that makes sense.
And also, I think she mostly figured out the tiers just from classroom performance, not necessarily test scores. That's
I know most of us probably went through all the materials that were sent out ahead of time. So instead of continuing with your slides, do you mind if we keep this discussion going?
No,
Sure.
not at all. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So Jill, do you have questions for them?
I do. Let me lower my hand. Love this. Couple questions. So Enid, you had mentioned something about the how we used to do walk to read, but when I'm looking at this flexible grouping, it looks like we're doing both, where we do small leveled rotations within the classroom, and then also they will go to different classrooms for instruction. Am I reading that right?
Yes, so the approach really extends tier one differentiation, and so what's happening in the classroom, but then also tier two differentiation. And so that tier one differentiation would be those flexible groupings within the classroom, that group rotation within the classroom, and the shared groups across the grade level team. There are some folks, some grade level teams that this is established, they're in this practice. And so continuing that work. And then also welcoming other teams to jump on that bandwagon and give that a try too. And so to the extent both, yes. Small group rotation within the classroom, but then also the flexible grouping across the grade level.
So we're doing both. And the other thing that I'm really excited about this, like beyond excited, is that this is moving into tier two and tier three. So we're not just helping those kids that are at a higher level getting the differentiation and the instruction they need. We're also able to identify those kids that may inadvertently have fallen into tier two in one category, tier one in another category, and being able to put the resources in place that are doing that. So it really is. I think the thing I'm most excited about this presentation is it gets us out of the silo of just looking at individual groupings of kids and really meeting a child where they're at to facilitate the growth that we need to see. So I went through and looked at this and I was just like doing dances in the street. So thank you.
I do have some other questions and some feedback. I think the presentation is great. The engagement with the work group is awesome. You know, building the teacher guides, the family guides, the website material. It'll be interesting how that goes through the year because you're adding services while you're flying the plane, right? And so figuring out how you capture what we do today versus what we're going to do tomorrow and how it's going to be better and making sure what you put up there is actually offered at every school and not just at some schools may be a little challenging for you this year. In your work plan, some of the timelines have dates and some of them say TBD, but I think some of your slides have the dates already set. So you might update some of those plans just to be sort of clear on what you're going to deliver when. That can help the board know when you're going to come back to us and tell us about all the great things you're doing and have some measurable data there. I feel very grounded in the feedback that we got last year from our families that felt like kids were not being served in their neighborhood schools. We had 375 kids identified and we served 75, right? So what I'm really going to be looking for at the end of the year is how many kids did we identify? How many did we serve? Getting these surveys from the families and from the teachers. What we heard from the teachers were just what Bonnie said. I've got 5 levels of kids to teach in my class. I've got no resources from the district. I can barely manage behavior issues. I can't possibly challenge everybody, right? And handle the supports that I need. So, what I'm going to be looking for to hear is how the district is really stepping up to provide those supports to the teachers and how we can measure the impact of that on the other end. I think it's going to be really great. It's super exciting. It's a 5-year plan. Obviously, it has to be. I'm really interested in then as you think about going beyond year 2, that expansion to middle school, right? We've heard from a lot of the Quest families. They love Quest. It changed their kids' lives. And then like Bonnie said, they get dropped in Gen Pop in middle school and they don't know what to do, right? I know. I like to say that though. So, we have some schools that do really great with that and some schools that don't. And so really trying to get that consistent delivery and figuring out what the best way is going to be, because it can be really hard for those kids to find their way.
Absolutely.
So,
Well, and going from 5th to 6th grade anyway.
Right.
Yeah.
Environmental shift for them.
The change, well, just for one of my kids, the change from being, because he didn't test high cap level, but his teacher in 5th grade knew that he could do it. He was in the higher stuff in 5th grade, and then in 6th grade completely had nobody that he knew in his classes. Anyway, he spent 6th grade like practically suicidal because it was just so hard. And so I think this is going to be a really impactful change for kids like that.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I mean, I think, meeting the kids where they are is what we've talked about for a long time, but actually realizing that is going to be so important. And it's going to be hard. There's a lot of PD, there's a lot of plans, there's a lot of stuff you guys have here. So kudos, right? You've really got your work cut out for you, Jeff.
We signed you up for a lot.
I hope your job description was accurate.
The last thing I'll just suggest you guys think about a little bit, because your work group has helped you come up with your mission and your vision and your goals. Think about going forward in years 3, 4, and 5, how you can tie your implementation plan back to your goals, because some of your goals talk about scaling of services and community broad engagement. And some of those things are not necessarily captured in your tactical plan right now for what you're going to do in year 2. But when you think out years, those goals might suggest other things that you guys need to bring into your implementation plan, and see if you can get a crosswalk between your goals and your plan. Yeah.
Good thing you're on our committee.
Yeah,
I know I was on vacation last week, so I couldn't.
I know, we missed
But you got your
Super
homework,
excited.
right?
Oh, apparently I have my homework. Yes.
If I could, Jill and I are always competing for this microphone.
Go ahead.
Sorry, Jill.
No, you go first.
Thank you. I'd just like to add, I'm excited that this is I think it was advertised as a 3 to 5 year plan. I'm excited to be in year 1, right? And I like how between this and the academic goals that are coming up after this, it defines really well what the implementation is in year 1, and also shows the background work that's being done in year 1 to set us up for implementation in years 2 and 3 and so forth. So I really appreciate that. And I'm going to have a different take on the middle school transition because my kids didn't go to Quest. And I felt like when they transitioned from elementary to middle school, that the middle school actually did better at being able to provide for them the meet them where they're at type of approach, to where they had a little bit more of the advanced presentation for them. Yeah, she can take credit. She was there, right? But I just want to say it just felt different when they're describing their experiences. It's different from my experience. That I felt like that middle school environment for them was better than what the elementary school was able
So,
to provide.
Probably matters
actually-
if you're going from advanced stuff to Gen Pop, or if you're going from regular to
Right.
higher,
See,
right? Like that's
was-
an elevation,
Yes.
and the other way is different.
Right.
Yeah, no, my kids were served better in middle school than so mine did not get into Quest.
Uh-huh.
And because of that, they got no services in elementary school.
Yeah.
So,
And I wouldn't say, I'm not going to say that my kids, so if you're one of my kids that, or teachers that taught my kids in elementary school, I am not complaining. You did a great job. And they did what they could, to get them extra work and such there, but it was just easier at a middle school where you had a different class to go for math, and a different class for language arts, and a different class for science.
Yeah.
And I think these different experiences highlight, because we're talking about over a span of many years and over a span of many different elementary and middle schools. And so just like the different services that were offered at different places, and like where my kids went to elementary school, their teachers were doing extension services like on the down low, because at the time the district wasn't allowing them to do that. They were all supposed to do prescribed stuff, and they weren't supposed to go beyond that. And so, teachers were sneaking extra stuff and like, don't tell anyone, like I'll get in trouble, kind of thing. And then, and so some of my kids, because I have a lot, some of them had the opposite experience, right? Some had such a hard time in elementary school because they were bored all the time. And then when they got to middle school, they could go like, oh, wow, like now I'm actually learning stuff, but some had the opposite experience, which made things harder. So, I mean, I just think that this plan has the potential to just like skyrocket our district into really combined with the goals and combined with Zach's inclusive stuff, right? Like this is like meeting every single kid and giving every single kid the same amazing experience, that's just exactly what they need, which is kind of like a really personalized experience for education, which seems impossible in public school. But if we can make it work, that's great. And I just think when you come back here, I want you to tell us, we need this from the school board in order to make this vision happen, because the vision is amazing. And I think that we want to make sure that we can give you the resources you need to make it happen. And also, like, just side note, I don't know if it's legal, but I don't always check that.
That's always great.
I know. Yeah. Oh, I know more.
This is not my job to figure that out. But I think that there are a lot of parents who, like Rick always talks about his kids who are teachers, who are stay-at-home parents right now, who want to volunteer in the schools to help with extension services. And I don't know if we're allowed to utilize them for those kinds of things, but I know that there's a ton of them that are chomping at the bit to be helpful in that way.
that's a great idea.
It
Yeah,
is.
because there are
And they're
a
free.
lot of-
And they're free.
I think
Yes.
that would be
There are a lot, and retired
that's,
teachers too.
agenda item for our cooperative work group too, is to lean on some of our parents and community members in there to help
Yep.
us with that.
Jill?
Yeah, I just have one quick question. So because we were limited with the number of spaces that we had in Quest, and we're kind of moving this out to the school levels, are we changing the requirements on the testing now? Like, because I know it used to be like 99 point and you had to be in both of them. Are we doing anything different with that portion of it as well?
So for Quest, the Quest exists and will exist, but there aren't threshold scores for Quest. Yes, Quest placement requires both reading and math to be at that level, exceeding grade level peers. And so through the multidisciplinary selection committee, which will be called multidisciplinary placement committee, those placements are made without a threshold, but the highest overall across the board. And so I just want to be clear that there's
okay.
not a threshold score.
So we used to have a threshold score, right?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, that's what I thought. Okay, I just want to make sure. So that is being eliminated, but what we are doing, because there's basically 75 spots at Quest as a whole, we will take all those individuals that score higher than the general population and then filter down to those 75 spots, basically. I mean, in conjunction. And will they still have to, in order to be in the actual Quest program, score in both math and
Yes.
okay.
As
Okay.
a
That part isn't going to
self-contained
change, but
Correct.
we'll offer the differentiation better at the school levels. Okay. Perfect. Thank
I
you.
think it's worth at some point as you guys get down the road to figure out whether there's a need to change or adjust or shift that program in some way.
Yep.
I mean, like Bonnie
I-
said, at some point come back to us with what your request is,
Mhm,
right? For what the board can do for you.
Perfect.
Because I know that there's a lot of different best practices, and there's several schools within the state of Washington and outside the state of Washington that actually, I don't want to use the word tracking because that has negative connotations, but they do have classes at each one of the schools. So just to know, like from my standpoint, and I'm on board, I I am not opposed to that idea. I think it really helps. I mean, we do that everywhere else except for K-3. It starts in sixth grade where we have honors and high cap classes, and then goes on through um, the other areas. And I think sometimes it's a little bit easier for teachers and for those other kids. But I'm okay. I'm okay with that school of thought as well.
Some of us survived it and did very well. So, yes. All right, I'm going to move us on. Thank you
Okay.
guys.
All
I
right,
think we
thank
gave you a
you.
lot.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thanks.
You're welcome, Jeff.
All right, we'll move on to our academic goals with Dr. Jones.
Thank you. So you just heard a wonderful ICAP presentation that kind of incorporated a lot of what is going on in the three academic goals that we're presenting this evening. And we took or what I attempted to do is take some of the feedback from our work session and incorporate a little bit more specificity in the goals. It came across a little clunky in the track changes. I was just trying to attempt to show that I made some changes in those to incorporate some of your feedback. But these are the goals that they're presented tonight. So incorporating MTSS, our high cap that you just heard about, and then a study around our harassment, intimidation, and bullying systems, and to get some more accountability there for how we track that data and how we're going to improve those efforts in that area. So open to feedback on this iteration of the academic goals.
Who wants to start?
Go ahead.
I'm going to go last. So,
Okay. We talked in there, you had some about the common formative assessments.
Right.
And so my understanding with those, those are teacher developed, right?
Correct.
Does it reduce kind of the usage of some of the iReady, like the standards mastery and the lesson quizzes parts of iReady that take away from some of that?
I don't know if it necessarily takes away from that, but that is just where they're identifying the standards and how it basically goes back to those four questions.
Mhm.
What do we want students to know? How do we know when they know it? So those teachers come together. We're working, that's one of our goals this year, is to have that common formative assessment embedded for all the grade levels across the system so that they know when students are getting it or when they aren't, and in real time. So it's not waiting for those trimester benchmarks, but they are doing that as the standards come up, and they have some better real-time information so that when we want to do the flexible groupings, we know how to group them. We're not waiting, and those groupings don't become stagnant. So we don't group kids once at the beginning of the year. They stay in that same group for 3 months, and then we test again and then try and rearrange them at that point.
Right. I guess my question is mostly because I like the idea the having the teachers develop them, because then the language on those quizzes and stuff matches the language that they've had with different the instruction on the subject matter and such. But when I'm asking about the iReady part, iReady has the three, the fall, the winter, the
Yep.
spring tests, but I think aren't there also little like quizzes and things that they take along the way each week and stuff for individual lessons and things kind of.
I don't know that off the top of my
Okay.
head.
So, but my question is there, because I think there is,
Okay.
and I just want to be a little bit careful that we're not adding more testing, right?
Right.
Is just why I asked the question that.
Yeah, and when we say common formative assessment, it's
Uh-huh.
not like an hour long,
Right,
right?
10-minute quiz or
yes,
whatever,
it's
right?
these check-in checkpoints that we know how do we know that they are on track or not on track to meet standard? And it's a pulse check that gives those teachers that real time information.
Okay. The other one, there were only two questions that I marked down from before on this. There was a line you had in there, and I didn't mark the page number, but it says support every PLC to identify its essential standards and align a scope and sequence. What does that look like? I mean, what does that support for those PLCs look like?
The support is, well, we've done a lot of training right to start the year with our administrators. So right out of the gate, we've had some PLC training to help administrators be better equipped to support their teachers in the building. And then that support also is going to look at specific feedback that they give to us around where they're at in their PLC. So we're going to start gathering information from those PLCs 3 times a year through a survey, and we'll see where they're at in their development of common formative assessments. We'll see where they're at in their collaboration and those kinds of things, so that our administrators will then know where that support needs to take place and how to better meet their needs at the building level.
Okay. Okay, thank you. And I know you and I have had some other conversations along, so I appreciate all the information you supplied.
Yeah, and to that end, some of our other conversations, I didn't include this, but we'll get it out. The academic goals matrix too is these are our academic goals as well. So the ones that we're presenting are in addition to these goals that you'll have, and we'll get that updated to you. But this whole MTSS process is a system to support those goals, to see that we're ensuring that we're growing in reading and math, and improving our attendance rates and all of those things.
Right. It's what we're doing to try to meet those goals.
Jill?
I have a question. One of the things that I think you touched on a little bit was the ability to offer instantaneous intervention as opposed to waiting till those iReady scores come in on each one of the fall, winter, however we do that. And those are based on formative assessments. And that's pretty much just teacher input, the various assignments that they're doing. That's kind of how we're evaluating that, right? Or is there the little sample tests, not necessarily inside iReady? Like, I don't know what we use anymore. Like we used to use Dibbles and we used to use some of those other.
Right. But I think the common formative assessments, this is why we have an emphasis on PLCs this year, is for those assessments to be developed within those PLCs. So let's take a 3rd grade cohort of teachers at that building that are now in the first month of school within this first unit. They're developing the assessment collaboratively together to know how the students across their grade level at that individual building are either meeting standard, exceeding standard, or not meeting standard. And then they can divide those students up in that flexible group setting, whether it's in the classroom or in that tier 2 level or in that next tier 3 level.
Okay, so they're establishing those assessments as they go through to best meet the needs of the student as they go. Okay, perfect. Yeah. No, and I like the changes that you did on here, sort of outlining a little bit more of what that means. So yeah, that's the only one I had. Thanks, Brian.
I'm good. I think for me, what I'd really like to see is where we can get better articulation of what the outcomes are and the timeline for delivering some of the deliverables so that it's a little clearer. Again, as we establish a board calendar for the year, is there a regular cadence we could have for some updates where you present what you've done at different stages for some of these? And of course, they don't all have to be discussed on the same board meeting. You could kind of rotate through some of them. Like you said, the kind of metric-based goals that we have are fed by what we're going to do for some of this. But some of what you have listed as deliverables are really just actions, not really deliverables. And so I think particularly, again, syncing up with Jen and her team on the HiCap one for like what those deliverables are periodically, where some data is that could be delivered to us and like when, we talk about in their winter/spring building ratings and cohort, progress reports. What does that mean? Does that mean a presentation in January? Does that mean a presentation in March? What could we look forward to as an interim deliverable? And you noted it in, I think, the MTSS one, but not necessarily the safety and the HIB one, is really identifying what those board needs are, right? You're going to look at consistency with the procedure and the policy. You're going to look at the delivery and how these things are being run, but where could we enhance the policy, enhance the procedures to do things better or differently than what we're currently doing them now? What do you need from the board? How can the board help you and your team make the schools safer through additional policies or changed policies, for example? I think that's going to be a big one that's going to be really interesting for us, because HIB is something that's kind of come around, over and over again, that we've admired, but not necessarily done a lot about. So I can imagine coming from this year with this goal, a lot of information coming from your team about what we need to do to change. And I just like to sort of think about at what points will we get some of that information that we can work with you.
Understood.
Okay.
That I think in that HIB goal too, part of the process is just going to be to develop a system to monitor that too. So that'll be some heavy lifting that we do in the fall. We have, but our next student services team meeting is Monday, so we'll grind this out and get some more explicit metrics in there for the next iteration. So I guess that would be my question: is are we bringing this back to the board next month, do you think, and trying to have that fleshed out a little bit more?
Let's try to finalize next month with some of this feedback and the questions, so that we can develop kind of a schedule, for kind of a cadence of what we'll see in these different areas.
And some of these things, and that happened in this iteration, some of the stuff already happened. So it just turned to past tense. So that got a little clunky in there. So I'll just note that.
I'm mostly just thinking about, is there something kind of winter-ish or January that you would bring to us, something March timeframe, and then June is when everybody's graduating and we all kind of, get caught up in the end of the year and everybody's exhausted. So I hate to have everything due in June.
Yeah.
So, and some of these may continue into the following year as well, right? As you sort of discover things that need to happen. But let's bring them back one more time just to kind of finalize so that we can call them done. Jill?
Yeah, I do have one more thing to add on that. One of the things I'd like the board members to think about, and I had mentioned this before, and I'm not sure if it was really clear, but what measurements do you, to just sort of let Brian know what measurements you would like to see or what data you would like to see when it comes to measuring these things, so that he can kind of put it all together so that everybody is getting the information that they need to make a decision without having to reinvent the wheel each time. Because I think it's probably going to be pretty similar, but at least that way he can consolidate and combine that information. And if you don't know what it is, then that's good too, and you'll like whatever we get. But I wanted to send you a form on some of the measurables that I had. I just haven't had a chance to yet. So I'll send that to you, and then you can do with it as you see fit.
All right. Thanks, Jill.
Thanks, Brian.
I think there's a lot of measurable stuff from the high cap one that we talked about that I think will be great. And then, as you talked about with the HIB one, just, getting some data, in terms of how we're using it, how many are there, and, some consistency numbers as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Part of it is we don't know what we don't know yet. So then establishing where to go from there once we get that information.
Okay. Great. Anything else?
No, thanks, Brian.
No, I guess I do have one thing after listening to what you said, what Jill said, and just thinking about this a little bit with just terminology. Because in the report or in the goals, the draft goals there, we have like deliverables and actions. And I guess to me, the deliverable isn't necessarily deliverable to the board, right? The deliverable of an academic goal is going to be to the students and the families that we're serving. So I think when we're talking about what's what's coming back to us isn't necessarily deliverable. It's more of a report, right? And
Right.
and so if you're looking for a report schedule, not necessarily a deliverable, right,
Right.
for us.
Great point.
Very helpful. Thank you.
All right, we will move on to our school improvement plan approval.
All right, you have several pages of school improvement plan reflections in your packet. And so we're presenting those tonight to approve the 26-27 school improvement plans for the year. We've gone through some feedback iterations and tried to incorporate that feedback into this last iteration. So we'll open it up for invited Tori up here. So any questions for elementary or secondary school improvement plans before we entertain a motion to approve those for the year?
My only comment is I really like what will we do differently next year compared to this year? Like that was the most informative part for me. So that's it. That's all I have.
Second.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I do have a few things on them. So I am actually, I really appreciate looking at these things. And I know going back to after I joined the board, one of the first things that I was able to do is go to that WASDA conference. We sat in that presentation for school improvement plans that was done by Issaquah. And there were some things that I liked about that. And, looking through these things, it actually gets me excited about this year. One thing I would point out, and this is just trying to be a realist, a lot of the goals that the schools have put out are very ambitious. As I talked to Shelley about this last week, and she said, they're stretch goals, right? And I really want to say that out loud, because when we look back at these in the spring and say we didn't meet 10 points of improvement on such as on meeting traditional growth, we understand that's shooting for the moon, right? That's a huge goal, right, to get there. So one of the things I've done a little bit of is because I'm interested in it, and with reports like this, it's kind of a little bit interesting to do. Is I did feed the report, the entire PDF, to AI, and say, hey, look at this thing and tell me where did we have the biggest um, challenge last year, and what looks like to be the most ambitious goals for this year, just to see what it would say, and it pointed out a few things, and it's just kind of focuses some of the attention a little bit, but it talked a little bit when it looked at it, and it noticed the maths at the middle school level, where at each middle school we fell back last year instead of coming forward. So that was interesting. I really liked, because it did point out to like Jefferson Elementary, and how they've looked at their attendance goal. Last year they'd set an 84% mark, and came up short of that. Well, this year it's an 80% mark. I appreciate that that look at it and say, you know what, we tried for this. Now this year we're really going to gun for 80%. We're going to take that step there. So I appreciate everything that was put into those things. One of the things that I didn't necessarily realize until I was reading these things was some of the schools have goals around SBA participation and reducing the number of opt-outs for that. I'm wondering if there's something that we can do through the year as a board, as a district, to try to help publicize that to the community. Post on social media, let everybody know that why this is important to us, and why it's important that your kids do take these tests. And then also, is there a way we can get a better understanding for why maybe some of these families have opted out of taking those things? So I'm interested when I'm looking at some of these goals of what we can do a little bit to help along. Appreciate everybody shooting for the stars, and appreciate all the time that was put into putting them together. Lot of thoughts there, but I want to thank everybody that was involved putting that stuff together.
Thanks, Dan.
Jill?
Yeah, I agree with what Dan said. And in regards to the SBA goals, I think we can help kind of spread that in letting parents and individuals know that we look at that as one single point. It's a required state test so that they can go through. The reason that we need to keep reminding parents to do that is if kids opt out, it counts as a 0. And that gets averaged into the overall score of Richland School District as their health. So we need to just remind them that that isn't an end all be all. That if they take it and their kids don't do well, it's not a big deal. It's just one of those major points. But continue to remind them that if they opt out, that counts as a 0 and that gets averaged in. So if you have a kid that gets 100 and a kid that doesn't take it, our average score means that only 50% of the kids are at level. So that's why that's so critical. And the only other thing I want to say is I like that they put all this effort, and I want you to, Brian, especially thank the principals for taking the time and effort to put this together for us, because I know this is completely different than what they do for OSPI. But I also think that they might find that this was a pretty good exercise because it really made them go in and really take a look at where they want to improve and how they want to improve. So just know that it's really appreciated that they took the time and energy to go in and do this outside and above the other process, because they're both pretty time consuming.
Thanks, Jill.
Yeah, I'll just echo what everybody's said. I'm super impressed this year with the effort put into this. You know, many of the principals in the schools knocked it out of the park on the very first iteration of that we saw, and they did great. All the ones who responded to the feedback provided early also have done a really great job. So I'm super impressed with what's here. This is so much more digestible than the OSPI version. So this is hopefully great for our community and our families to look at as well. And yeah, to Bonnie's point, I think, you know, many of them did a really good job of really looking at what are they going to do differently next year to move the needle, maybe where they didn't this year. I am curious about this SBA issue though, because it looks like some of the schools have goals of going from 93% to 95%. Some are at 31%, some are at 56%. And is that really an opt-out issue, or is it we didn't show up for school on that day issue? You know, what is it that you guys are really seeing from the schools?
You go ahead.
Yeah, what we're seeing will kind of depending on the school. What we see at PCOA is they have to come take the test here. Many students at PCOA just like to be on their, like to do their schooling the way they do it, right? So getting those kids to come to take the test is a little more difficult.
Oh, in person.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's got to be in person. So they come here to this building and they do it right here. And so, the coming in is a little more difficult for some of those kids. If you look at like when you say opt out or not showing up, yes is the answer. Yes, some of them are opting out by writing a piece of paper, but some of them just don't come during those days. And so we did a different thing this year where we had, if they're going to opt out, they needed to meet with an administrator. The parent needed to meet with an administrator and kind of explain the reasons and stuff like that. Obviously, parents can opt their kids out if they want to. It's what we can do. But it is important, as you guys were saying, and so as to Dan's point and to Jill's point, if we can get, some movements out there before testing, and this is what we're testing, this is why, and this is how it helps, and things like that. I think that would be helpful as well. So I guess to answer your question, yes, it's opting out and it's not showing up.
Okay.
And so the students that were testing, when I was at Hanford, the students that we were testing were the ones that rode the bus to school, because if you could drive, you didn't come to school, especially for the science test, because it didn't have anything to do with graduation, right? And so it was the kids that showed up on the bus that you were testing that day. So yeah. Oh, and the reason it's on there is because it's an OSPI mandated deal to be on the school improvement plans. So that's why we would put it on.
That's why you guys added it this year.
So
Okay,
that's why
awesome.
it's 93 to 95. It's got to be on there to get for the OSSI. So
Are we allowed to bribe kids?
you certainly could, yeah.
I mean, me as myself, not as a school board member,
Yeah,
right?
Sure. Like what do you mean?
I mean, like, can the PTO say, hey, if you show up on SBA day, you get Chick-fil-A? I don't know. Can they do that?
Well, you can just offer Chick-fil-A that day, and if they show up, they get it, right? Yeah.
Okay. Just
Yeah.
curious.
I mean, yeah. I don't know.
I think also like informing people about the importance of the SBA test in general, but not really saying why you shouldn't opt out, but why it is important just to not shed light on the fact that you can opt out, because I don't know if that's
Yeah.
well known.
Yeah.
Fully.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, there are benefits, one of them's, this is one way you can get your pathway to graduation, right? Those usually are the kids that are opting out.
And that's a great endorsement, right? I
Yep.
mean, to say, hey, this isn't just about checking a box for OSPI. This actually is a pathway to graduation. If you pass this test, then you can, meet some criteria.
Absolutely.
There might be some good communication campaigns around that could help.
Yeah. Yeah.
With those. Yeah.
And that's one of the things I wrote down on here is a state testing helps. What can we do? Let's get some bullet points. Let's get that out.
And now that I'm sitting here thinking, because you said that it's on there because it's required to be on those tests, or maybe we've picked up on something that wasn't as big as what it's. You looked at it, hey, it's on every one of them. Yeah.
Yes, and it need to be on there, but it's always a good thing to do, especially those that have lower, some, like you say, have 93%, but some don't.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and some of the lowest schools, like the ALE schools, are the ones who struggle with the graduation rates. And so if they pass the test, it's a pathway to graduation, right?
Certainly is.
So that could be a really good sort of communication campaign, particularly with like PCOA and River's Edge.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
To get more there. But,
for sure.
All right. So can I get a motion to approve the school improvement plans?
I'll move that we approve the school improvement plans.
I'll second that.
Any further discussion? All right, we'll vote.
Yes.
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 Awesome. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you. Where's that?
And we will move on to policy 3122.
Okay, yeah, this is the excused and unexcused absence policy. It's classified as critical by, obviously, as you can see there. And so are there any questions that you have regarding this policy?
Dan?
Yeah, can I start again?
Mhm.
The section on asynchronous.
Okay.
It talks about how asynchronous evidence of participation with regard to absence. I mean, that was like that first paragraph.
Mm-hmm.
And then lower down it says, says that participation is distinct from attendance. It can't easily. So I'm wondering, after reading that, can we actually define attendance for asynchronous?
If we don't include participation.
Sorry, go ahead.
If we don't include participation, right?
Right.
I mean, how is it even
Right.
possible?
No,
Because it looks like it's contradictory. In
they
that
say they
little
can
section.
turn on the video, right?
But it's
And we
it's
say they need to-
asynchronous, right? Asynchronous, right? They're not necessarily watching the instruction at the same time that the instruction was given.
Right, so we'd have to do something along the lines of moving along in your program, right? So being able to see what, are you doing these assignments, things
But that's
like that.
participation then, right? And it says
Yeah, no,
participation
it
participation can't be part of attendance is what it says on there. Right? I'm wondering about that whole section there on that asynchronous of.
I see exactly what you're saying. I see what you're saying. I take it as a participation, like a daily participation, not participation in the class. So participation, usually when you say, if you participate in like PE, you're participating, it's a daily participation thing, not an overall participation thing. But that's how I read it. But I see what you're saying. You have to participate to advance along in the class, but advancing along in the class could be different than daily participation.
Yeah, I'm not even sure. I'm not even sure
thing.
there's such a thing as attendance for asynchronous classes, right?
Yeah. I personally feel like that section in red should be removed.
Okay.
Or to say that participation such as blah, blah, blah can be considered in determining attendance. And I say that because I know when we've done the tours with PCOA and we've seen kind of how they administer the classes and stuff, there are kids who will log in, not turn on their video, not participate, and they're not there. And the only way that the teachers can really determine that they're paying attention in class is if they participate.
Yep.
And we've had teachers in the past come to campaign about this because they're afraid that if we remove the ability to require participation, then kids are just going to log on, not use their video, and not be there.
But that's synchronous,
But that's for
right?
synchronous stuff.
That's for
She's
synchronous.
talking about asynchronous though, but like not even with the teachers.
Right. Yeah. Asynchronous, you're not on there with the teacher at all, right?
Right.
Well, like what
Synchronous does say something that participation is part of it.
is
And we can
there,
do that.
is there
We
an
can do that.
attendance requirement for asynchronous?
No.
There's no way to
There's no
Yeah.
way to do that. Like,
Right.
why? I don't even understand why absence is on. I mean, I had a kid who took an asynchronous class and did it all in the last 2 weeks of the
Yeah.
school year. Didn't look at it until the last 2 weeks of the school year.
Yeah.
And so, but that's the whole beauty of asynchronous is you can do it whenever you want, right? As long as it's done by the deadline, it doesn't matter. So
I'll fix it.
I just don't know
Yeah,
if do
I
we
would
need
do
it. That's all I'm
I,
wondering.
I don't think that section is needed because in the previous section, it says they're absent from asynchronous when there's no evidence that they've accessed the activity and made progress.
Right.
I think that's already there.
Right.
I'm just afraid that if we include something here that says participation can't be used, it's going to become this contradiction
Okay.
that keeps coming back where students say, you can't make me turn on my camera. You can't make me,
Right.
and then,
But again, the
Back to
camera's
COVID.
synchronous.
right.
Okay.
Yeah. Right.
We'll just take out that section there. It's the WASDA section anyway.
Which section was that? I'm sorry. I'm looking
It's
at the,
it's the red one, the red section in the absence from asynchronous instruction.
what page? Oh, there it is. I see
Yeah.
it. Participation such as turning. Okay. Yep. Yep. I agree.
Yeah. It's contradictory.
Okay, that makes sense. Any other
Any
questions on
other
that one?
questions or on this one?
What does like a full day of absence means that you're gone for over 50% of the day? What like exactly does
That's an elementary thing.
Okay, I was just wondering
Yeah.
if that was applicable.
Yep.
But isn't it true for secondary? If they take attendance in all 6 of your classes,
Mhm.
and if you miss 4 of them,
Yeah,
you're
that's
gone for the whole day.
Yeah, as far as OSPI and all that, yeah, absolutely. But we just take it by period anyway. So whether OSPI thinks you're gone for the whole day, we just do it by period. So if you're there for 5th and 6th period, we don't care. We don't track you down for those. We're worried about periods 1 through 4.
So you'd still be marked here on Power School.
You're still here marked 5th and 6th period. You're not playing athletics that day, and you're not going to practice, those kind of things. But you are,
Mhm.
you're there for those 2 periods, and so that's what we look at secondary is which periods are you missing?
But to your point, if you miss more than 3, you're considered absent for the day and can't do sports or
You can't
practice.
can't
miss
do sports.
anything.
Yeah,
You can't miss if you miss one
if you
period.
miss 1 period, you can't do that. So
Excused or
If it's unexcused, if you have a
No,
dental
no.
appointment.
If
Oh,
it's
really?
even if it's excused, it has to be ahead of time, right? You have to say, I have an appointment or something. You can't just like sleep in and miss first period and have your mom call and say, what? What is she gonna say? You're sick? Oh, you can't practice then. If you're
Okay.
just like, oh, then you can lie and say they had an appointment or
Pre-excused.
what. But no,
Yeah.
it's supposed to be it's supposed to be
Pre-excused.
prearranged.
Okay, that
Yeah.
makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
so I can bring this back. I'll take out that section, or
I think we can
Okay, I'll
approve
just
it
take
for
it out.
first reading.
Okay.
Yep.
Mhm.
Can I get a motion?
I'll move first reading.
Second.
We'll vote.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
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 Great.
okay.
3124.
Yes, this one's removal or release of students during school hours. This one basically talks about if you're in elementary school, you need to be on campus beginning to end, and high school, it's kind of an open campus situation. And so then it talks about also getting rid of one of the policies we had, which was 3242, because that is now all encompassing in this one we have here. So any questions on that?
Any questions?
I had no questions.
I just see one typo
Oh,
in the middle of the red paragraph that starts with no student may be removed from grounds.
okay.
There's the very last sentence. I think
Doesn't have a capital
it doesn't
S.
have a capital S on school staff.
Got it.
That's just a typo, but. And then your vision would be that the content in 3242 would be added at the end of the content for 3124
No, it's already in here.
because it's what was provided to us was a second page.
Yeah, that's the one that's getting deleted, I think. 3242.
3242, yeah, the very last word says closed campus and high school campus.
Yeah.
That's the one that's getting
you,
deleted.
are you taking that bit and adding it to the bottom of the other one?
No,
Okay.
that was just for
You're
you,
just
so you could
removing
see
it.
it. Yep, removing
Okay.
it. Yep, sorry about that. Yep, that's not part of this one. That's
So,
just so you could see it.
so at the beginning of 3124, it
Mhm.
refers to 3242. So if you're removing 3242, then you'd have to change the beginning.
You're absolutely right. I
31.
apologize for that. Yep, I apologize for that. We put that in there, but then
Mhm.
we referenced the other one. Got
Okay.
it.
All right.
Yep, I'll
So
take
then
that out.
we'll just say this policy allows for students in grade 9 through 12.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Right. Any
I have
other
to say that at
questions about
first
the
I was worried that you were changing the policy so that kids couldn't leave campus for lunch, and I was like, you're gonna have a riot on your hands, so please don't.
I would never do that.
Yeah, that would-
We don't have enough.
Also,
don't
there's
have
not enough room to
we
feed
don't have
everybody.
enough room in the
Feed
cafeteria.
them.
Right.
Right. All right. Can I get a motion for first reading on 3124?
I
So
will move to do that.
Second?
Second,
Okay. And we'll vote?
Yes.
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 Thank you.
Thanks, Tori. Railroad crossing resolution.
So the railroad crossing resolution, this is a resolution we already have in place that we are updating. The one that was passed in 2012 was specific to 2 railroad crossings at Dupertail and 240 and Van Giesen at 240. We have an additional one on Steptoe that has just opened up, and we'll have a functioning traffic light. So this resolution allows the bus drivers to continue through without stopping at the tracks if it's a green light, working green light. So, this one is written more general. So if we have future crossings open up with a functioning light, that we can just continue with this resolution without bringing it back.
Questions? Jill, any questions?
Nope.
Bonnie?
Nope.
I just want to say I really like the way that this is written because it's very clear, at least in my reading of it, that the conditions for proceeding without stopping are 1 and 2 and 3 and 4,
Yeah.
not or. And really clear in section 3 when the exception doesn't apply, and then really clear again to say, and this still doesn't give you the permission to pull out in an unsafe environment. So
Right.
I really like the way that this is written, because I think it seems pretty clear that while we're giving you the privilege, it doesn't supersede the safety of that. So I thought it was very well done.
I thought I may have went overboard on it because it's a lot longer than the last one, but I'm glad to hear that.
Yep.
So.
Yep.
Do
Any
you
other
want to?
questions?
Jill said, do you want a motion?
I want a motion.
I will make a motion to pass resolution 1003.
A second.
Any further discussion before we vote? All right, we'll vote.
Yes.
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 Thank you. And Jill, when you get back, we'll need your signature on the resolution.
Okay.
Yep. Thank you.
And then policy 5010.
Yes, policy 5010 is the non-discrimination and affirmative action policy being updated by WASDA. So the last time we updated the policy would have, I believe it was 2008. So it's been a while. WASDA lists this as an important update. And so we felt it was a good time to to update it and follow WASDA's language. So you can see the red is the new language. It's now, instead of non-discrimination and affirmative action, it's discrimination-free workplace, and has some more descriptors of non-discrimination and examples of employee discrimination, and what harassment, discriminatory harassment is some of the new language in there.
Does this require a pretty substantial update to procedures?
I think it's will be minor. The one we may have to update a little bit on that is the complaint procedure. Make sure we're dialed in on that. But other than that, I think it's going to be pretty minor on the procedures.
Okay, yeah, if there's changes there that impact what the appeal process might be to the board, then maybe circle back with that on
Okay.
with us.
Yeah, I can email that.
Okay.
If that works.
Yep.
Or, yeah.
Any questions or comments, feedback on this one for Ken?
It looked like, after she asked that question, it looked like to me, and I had a note here that it removed some things from the old policy that would probably go into the procedure. So there are going to be some updates to the procedure then, right?
Yeah, we'll go through
with
and
those
make
things that
sure
got taken
the
out.
procedures match the, if adopted as is, we'll go through and update the procedures to match the current policy.
Yeah. And just to be consistent on things that I talked about tonight, I did also feed this one to AI.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it compared it to the WASDA framework template. And it said that we were missing status as a breastfeeding mother to the protected status group from what WASDA had. Just, I thought that was interesting that it found one that we didn't have, because that was a very long section.
I can add it.
That's interesting. Can I get a motion to approve for first reading?
I'll move first reading.
I'll second that.
Any further discussion? We'll vote.
Yes.
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 All right. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we are on to our board discussion, and we have decided to pull in future agenda topics into this section instead of trying to talk about that after we've passed consent agenda. So if you would look at the agendas for September 8th and September 22nd, if there's anything that you'd like added or considered for a future meeting. You have any thoughts, Jill?
I do, and I'm not sure if this is the time or if we were going to have a workshop to talk about workshops. But when we want to do and what some of the workshops we want to do prior to board meetings this upcoming year.
I think a lot of our workshop time is going to be taken up with superintendent search stuff. I mean, I think I don't know if we know what we'll be able to have workshops about until we know when we're doing those things.
So I think if folks have topics for workshops that you'd like for us to do, just send those to Jill and I, and we can see where
they can
fit them in.
Fit them into the calendar. I would like for us to try again this year to think about a full board meeting calendar going through next June so that we can start to slot in what are the different discussion points and presentations that we would need to have and the approvals that we would need to fit in. We've also talked about going back to that list of all the approvals that we had and making sure that we get those slotted in, so I can work with Dr. Jones on that as well. And to your point, Bonnie, one of the first workshops we'll probably need to have is about the superintendent search. Although some of it involving the job description, sort of salary contract stuff, we may be able to do an exec because that's private employment contract kind of stuff. So
I do think that with the September 22nd presentation of the Community Facilities Task Force recommendations, that we will probably need to have a workshop on that topic sometime soon after that.
As far as sending stuff that we want to have workshops on, we really can't send it to you and Jill, right? Because that'd be
You can send it, I would send it to Ruby,
You can send it to Ruby to send to all of us.
all of us, yes.
Or you can send an email to Jill and I. Oh, actually,
No, I
no.
can't.
No,
because
no,
that's the
no,
three. That's
no.
the three.
He's got to send
You
it.
could send it to one of us.
Right.
Yeah, or send it to Ruby and then Ruby can send it.
Yeah, I think sending it to Ruby is the proper way to do it. Because even if I
Yes.
send it to Jill, and she talked to you about it, that's still
Yeah,
a chain of
that's,
three.
yeah, we don't want to do that.
Which is not allowed. I don't want to kind of give up on the idea. I brought it before when we're talking about the goals, because we did the academic goals tonight. We're doing the facility goals and the facility goals next week or next meeting. That we should also have a board goal, and
I was going to say that too.
may
Yeah.
take a workshop. It may be something we can hammer out during the board discussion next meeting. But I think we should find one that we work on as a board. And I know Jill had taken us to a workshop on board governance, and I apologize, I probably was not ready for what that was. You know, maybe part two of that, you know, so we can get a real good definition of how we're working, especially as we're going into that superintendent search. And we can present that to those candidates as well, that we have some
Board norms.
you know, just
Yeah.
we've kind of evaluated that ourselves, and this is what we've come up with, type of thing.
And I'm okay to do that soon-ish.
Mhm.
But also, I always find that after we come back from WASDA, we have a lot of ideas and stuff
Yep.
that we want to do. And I think having a workshop after WASDA would be a great time to like kind of put all those ideas together and come up with some goals and things that we want to actually put into practice that we learn at WASDA.
So, sort of in conjunction with what Dan was talking about, we have all the board members did their self-assessment. So we have that information and that report. So we may want to have a quick discussion. I don't know if we want to do that. I mean, we could do that in a board meeting, but I would prefer to do that in a workshop too. And that kind of ties in with our board norms and a little bit on our goals, on maybe what we want to work with on that. So whenever we want to visit those results would be a good time to add that in.
Yeah, I think that's a great suggestion. So maybe what we can do is think about a calendar for these items. To your point, Bonnie, the recommendations from the facilities task force will come in on the 22nd. And I know that there's some funding matching deadlines for us to potentially put out a bond that would have to go out in February. And if we wanted to do that and we want to have a workshop after that presentation, we have to do it before October 15th.
Right.
So we're going to have that tight window. Maybe Ruby can help us find some time for that workshop between the 22nd of September and before whatever that next board meeting would be in October, like the 8th. Yeah. So between September 22nd and October 8th, have a workshop so that we could approve something before the 15th. And then to your point, Bonnie, if we're going to do, I will talk to the superintendent search firm contact about what she wants to do with us in September and see if there's both a full workshop as well as kind of a working session to talk about the job description, if we would want to do that then. And then maybe plan one after WASDA where we talk about some of the other, you know, workshops we'd like to do for the year, governance stuff, what we learned from WASDA. And we can also bring up the board goal thing. I think that's something that I can work on and see what we can do with some examples. We might be able to do that even at the next meeting. So we'll see what I can come up with. Anything else for future?
Just a
Meetings?
curiosity, as we have a new student rep tonight. Do the student reps not take the oath like we do?
We did not do that before, so that we didn't want to create the precedent of doing it at this one because we didn't do it for the last ones.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's not a publicly elected position,
Right.
so.
Sure.
Did we not do that? I thought we've always done it.
Mm.
Did we not do Sanan?
No.
Nope.
Huh.
Maybe we should have done them both together.
Yeah, I just like it for the ceremonial purposes because
Right.
it's just
Right.
special for them. Because I was thinking the same thing.
Yeah, we didn't do Tiffany and Sanan last year, so we didn't.
But we did
wanna-
all the other ones.
You may have done them the previous years. Yeah. I'm
Yeah.
not sure. Yeah.
Yeah. It's just more ceremonial than it is.
Right.
Yeah.
If you guys have a burning desire, we probably could, but
All right. Any other topics for future agendas? Old business. Okay. I'm going to move us to the consent agenda. Does anybody have questions or anything you'd like to pull from the consent agenda? If not, I'll take a motion to approve consent.
I will move to approve the consent agenda.
I'll second.
And we'll vote.
Yes.
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 Great. Then we are adjourned. Thank you.